I sort of did this, and I found a few Rob Goldings. Are you a photographer?
Only amateur.
Oh, you probably want that.
Only amateur.
Did you write a book on minis?
No.
Oh, okay. Are you a male model?
Not really.
There is a Rob Golding as a male model, apparently. And you're not a soft... Are you a head teacher?
No.
Okay, right.
Nor a DJ.
Oh, nor... Right, okay, so that's that. So, who are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from and how are you in Basingstoke?
Okay, grew up in Bristol. Went to university in Birmingham. Met my wife, who was from the northeast, so we compromised and stayed in Birmingham, got married. Went to work for the Inland Revenue for about 30 years. They moved us up to Merseyside, and then we opted to move to London, because once you're in London, you didn't have to move again, and came to live in Basingstoke so I could commute to London.
Excellent, okay. Now, the commute part, I think, probably has an important part in your life. We won't dwell on it too much, I know, but what happened on the commute one day?
6 weeks after we'd moved in was the Clapham rail crash, when the fast train from Basingstoke went into the back of a slow train that had stopped at a faulty signal, and I was in the front carriage of the fast train, and when we hit the back of the other one, I was standing in the middle and I fell flat on my face and was heading forwards at about 60 miles an hour, and the first thing I thought was, the front of this train has stopped. The instant my head reaches the front, my neck will break, and that's it. And the second thing I thought was, I'm halfway through building some new kitchen cupboards, and my wife will kill me if I don't fill it. It's the job. So the third thing I thought was, I'd better pray here. So I just said the name of Jesus, 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 several times. I was then knocked out, crawled out of the wreckage eventually. Amazing, because about half the people in that carriage were killed. Others lost limbs. I got out with just bruises and a bit of shock. So really grateful.
Yeah, sad day, but glad you... Did you finish the kitchen cabinets?
I finished the kitchen cabinets, yes.
Excellent, excellent. And so... there's two parts to the interview. One bit, obviously, we're going to talk to you a little bit about what you do. And so you're interested in politics. How did you become interested in politics, and what job do you have because of it?
I grew up interested in politics. I could certainly remember being interested in politics from the age of 13. We obviously talked about it at home. When I worked for the Inland Revenue, I was generally too senior to get involved in politics. But when I left the Inland Revenue, I joined the Conservative Party, which was where I was interested in at that time. And after a year or two, once they found out I was involved in Money Lifeline, which we're going to talk about in a minute, they said, oh, we need people who are involved in the community. You can stand as a councillor. So I was elected as a councillor in 2007.
What do you like about being a councillor?
I like being able to help people. I mean, the really good thing is if you can find a situation where there's been a sort of breakdown of communication between a resident and the officers, and you can hear both sides of the story and bring them together and get a result, that's the best bit.
And you're currently the councillor for which area?
Oakley and North Waltham.
Do we have any people from Oakley and North Waltham here? Well, we do. Oh, yes. Well, this is your councillor, if you didn't know. Your movie. What, just decided right now? So, okay, great. Thank you very much. And so, have you just been re-elected recently? So
No, next year.
Oh, okay, next year. Okay, fine. Okay, excellent. So the main reason we want to talk to you is about a thing called Money Lifeline. So do you want to give us a quick overview of what that is and how it works?
Money Lifeline we always describe as a debt advice charity for Basingstoke supported by local churches. So we got started in 2007, been going nearly 7 years ago now, and we do what all debt advice people do. We meet with people who've got problems with their debts, we find out what income they've got, see if we can increase it a bit, we find out what expenses they've got, see if we can decrease them a bit, and then we work out what's left over, and assuming it's a positive amount, we negotiate with the people they owe money to as to how much they can pay. The difference about the way we approach it is we set out specifically with a Christian ethos, and we wanted to give people the time they needed so that we could understand exactly the situation they're in, how they'd got into it, how to help them out of it. So we're a hugely inefficient organisation in that we give people as much time as we think they need. We're not targeted in any way because we're not funded publicly in any way, so that's really good. And we aim to go the extra mile. So we get involved in all sorts of aspects of people's lives that are slightly beyond the debt.
So, I mean, Basingstoke appears to be an affluent, rich, wealthy town, especially all the people who live in Chinham. Anyway, I was only joking. Why do we need to have Money Lifeline if that's the appeal? Is that the true sort of vision or view of Basingstoke?
I mean, Basingstoke is basically wealthy, but anybody can get into debt. We get people, all sorts of people, with relatively small debts, sometimes just 2 or 3 mobile phone contracts that have gone wrong. I think the record so far is a couple who had debts of 460,000. Now, they were quite well off, but things went wrong, and I think they borrowed because they thought they borrowed a bit more, they could get through it, and it just got worse and worse.
So can anyone of any age, well, I guess obviously not 3 months, but certainly, up to what's the youngest you kind of deal with in terms of debt?
I think they'd have to be 18 for us to deal with them.
And do you have any statistics about how many people you've kind of helped?
We've seen nearly 400 clients. Now, some of those will be couples, so it's over 400 people. We don't keep records of... I mean, ideally, if you're a really efficient debt advice charity, the target is how many people have become debt-free. So many of our clients have no hope of becoming debt-free unless their whole circumstances change. We sometimes, to be honest, some of them, I'm grateful that they're still alive next time I see them. And
so a completely unbiased view, or you give a completely unbiased assistance with returns of debt, how long do they stay with you? Do they have a certain time frame, or how does it work?
No, part of giving people the time they need, they stay as long as they find us helpful. Some only see us once or twice. I'm still seeing clients who I first saw about 6 years ago. And if I get a moment, I'll tell you a story about one of those. But a key part of what we do is it's non-judgmental. So you have to be fairly unshockable. We meet people who've got all sorts of things going on in their lives. One of the great things about the way Money Lifeline's worked out, and it was part of our vision for it as Christians, was that a lot of the people who are referred to us are referred to us by other support workers in the town. So they're people with mental health needs, people who've been evicted or at risk of eviction, people who've got addiction problems, all sorts of issues like that. So we're part of a big, complex life that's part of the reason why they're in debt.
How do people get in contact with you? What's the best way? Can we put a link up on our Facebook page, for example?
You can put a link up. We don't advertise because we have a waiting list, and I hate having a waiting list because I like to be able to see people straight away. We're actually ringing us up and saying, I'd like help, is a big step. So I'd much rather we could see people the following week, but we can't at the moment. As some people are recommended by... I mean, we've had some where we've had 3 or 4 members of the same extended family, all recommended by the first person we saw. Others, as I say, come through social workers and support workers around the town.
Okay, well, that's probably the end.
I'll tell you the story.
And I was going to say, if you want to tell us your story, then we'll have that as a finish.
Well, we get all sorts of blessings, but this particular lady, we'd known her for about 6 years. We always work in pairs when we see people, and over the years, she's had the sort of life that you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy, all sorts of abuse from an early age. And over the years, she's told us various things about it. So we helped her fill in her form to claim employment and support allowance, which involved explaining how she reacted in situations and how that was caused by her background. And when we'd written it all and taken it through and checked it, she told us 2 things. One is she's told us things she's never told anyone else, not even her psychiatrist.
Oh, wow.
And she said, I can't remember, I think it was, you can explain my life better than I can. So we may not have got very far with her debts, but in terms of supporting her as a human being, showing God's love to her, that's really what we've achieved.
Oh, sounds good. Okay, well, we're going to put a link up on the Facebook page for Money Lifeline. So if you want to know more, Rob's going to hang around for a little while. So if you've got any questions about that while you're here, please go and talk to Rob during the course of the evening. We'll put the link up, and again, if you want to be in contact with them, that way you can do. If you want to move to Oakley and vote for Rob next time round, please do so. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you. Been a privilege.
So we're going to take a very short break, and then we're going to have...